If give you $5 million to stay in your room for 50 days, would you like to? This couple took part in the challenge. There is no network or electronic equipment in the room. Only one bed and one toilet. Food will be delivered on time every day. Just stay here for 50 days. Then they can get $5 million bonus. If someone quits midway, the bonus will be reduced to $1 million. For those who persist. After knew the rules, John pressed the button on the wall. Then they started the challenge of getting rich overnight. Maybe a lot of people will say, just think about how to use the $5 million. That's enough for 50 days. Then you're wrong. That's what they think. But after 5 days, they felt boring. No more impulse to think about how to spend the money. Amy encourages herself in the mirror. No matter what, she will persist. So she began to meditate. John was dazed all day. In the next few days, they also thought of playing games to pass the time. It's been like this for 20 days. They lost interest in the game again. It seems that these 50 days are not so easy to spend. At this time, John felt helpless until he found a cockroach. The sudden new member made him fascinated, but the cockroach looked so starving and also very weak at this time. John hurriedly picked up the nutrient solution. He wanted to feed the cockroach, but the system prompts the nutrient solution can only be used by human to prevent the cockroach from starving. John requested the system to open the door to send the cockroach out, but Amy immediately stopped at him after listening, because as soon as the door opened, they will be judged to have failed in the challenge. For a cockroach, they started their first quarrel in 20 days. Fortunately, John woke up in time. He put the cockroach back where he was. Next second, the cockroach lost its life. They don't know. All this was arranged by the organizers on purpose. John started to be unhappy, counting dust all day to pass the time. Amy was also very sad. Until that day, they found a new rule. They can cost $100,000. Buy a mysterious box. The items inside are random. Compared with $5 million, $100,000 is just a small amount. But you never thought it. What did John bought? This red chalk is worth $100,000. But the man didn't feel expensive. Instead, he even felt that it is worth more. So they took part in a challenge. Just stay in the room for 50 days. Then they can take $5 million. Compared with $5 million, $100,000, it's so cheap because this red chalk can let John pass the boring time. Amy never thought a piece of chalk can rejuvenate her boyfriend. John took the chalk and flies his artistic cells on the wall. It was all carved on the wall by him. 5 days passed like this. The chalk is finally used up. John lost his fun. He became silent again. Just when they were bored, a projection suddenly lit up on the wall. The organizer arranged a family-friend dialogue for them. First, John's sister. At first, they talked happily, but then, his sister talked about John's ex-girlfriend, and she didn't say a word about Amy. This made Amy felt uncomfortable for a moment. It turns out that the organizers deliberately separated the two. It's Amy's turn. She saw her father abandon her. Amy lost her temper at once. She asked the sponsor to stop the call. She even wanted to go forward and turn off the machine, but she can't turn it off. She was so helpless, and she had to hide to one side. It turns out that her father hurt her when she was young. Even if dad apologized to her, she still can't get out of the shadows. The next few days, Amy was in great pain. However, there was another thing happened. Amy found a pistol in the toilet that day. She thought was John bought it, but after some explanation, only then did they know it was the sponsor's conspiracy to prevent accidents. They hid the pistol under the bed. There are still 19 days left. John was bored to look at the labels on his clothes. He even has signs of insanity. He started talking to himself. It's really hard. John was about to give up, so he kept it from Amy and bought a mystery box again. But he never thought the surprise turned into a fright. He bought a living woman. John spent $100,000 on a mystery box. Then he accidentally bought a bikini girl. Facing the girl, John immediately forgot how to speak. More embarrassing, John's girlfriend Amy came here at this time. Face Amy's eyes. John tried his best to explain. He didn't know the box had a girl, but now Amy had nothing can do. She can only endure. After all, they only need to spend the remaining 10 days. Then they can take $5 million. So she warned John, told him stay away from the girl. However, Amy was very uncomfortable with the girl's participation. It's even more embarrassing when they're sleeping. There is only one bed in the secret room. 3 people have to sleep together reluctantly. Amy separates 2 people in the middle. During the day, Amy saw the relationship between them. She was so angry, she called John aside directly. This made John helpless, plus extreme boredom. It gradually made him hallucinate. The feeling in the illusion is like real existence. Fortunately, when he was about to suffocate, Amy woke him up in time, but John, who woke up, completely collapsed. He wants to give up the challenge immediately. Amy stopped him immediately. Under Amy's pacification, John slowly regained his peace. Next day, Amy suddenly found the girl was missing. She hurried to the toilet to check. She still not found her. The girl finally gone. Amy just wanted to tell John about that, but she saw the message on the wall. The content is that John hurt her last night. Amy was furious at once. She repeated questioning John. John hurriedly explains that he didn't do anything. It must be written by the girl on purpose. But Amy couldn't listen. She pushed John. He bumped into the pillar. The back of his head was suddenly bleeding. Amy finally woke up. Keep apologizing to him and bring him a towel to stop the bleeding. But it didn't help. He still feels dizzy. He feels like he's going to die here. He wants to go to the hospital as soon as possible. But Amy disagrees. She persuades him to stay. Just a few more days. They can take 5 million. John was suddenly disheartened. Unexpectedly. In Amy's eyes, 5 million is more important than his life. Even if Amy tries to dissuade, he's still walking to the gate slowly. Suddenly Amy stopped him. She was holding a pistol, threatened him not to leave. John was stunned, and also completely hopeless. He walked to the gate with determination, pressed the red button to open the door. He left here without looking back. The following days, Amy insisted alone, lying on the ground all day without saying a word. She can't find a person to talk to in the big space. Gradually, she began to collapse. It's only the last 2 days. She suddenly saw the message on the wall. That's John's love for her. At this moment, she finally woke up. If she lose her beloved, no amount of money makes no sense. She finally chose to give up the challenge. The second day, when John is running, just met Amy who came home. He also knows that Amy has given up the challenge. They started apologizing to each other and forgive each other. He and her made up again. And this challenge is not over. New challengers are coming. If you come for the challenge, how long can you stay?